you've refurbished your property and you won't get the full value that you've actually put in.
That's one of the worst things that property investors go through.
Hey there everybody, this is the first video that we're actually doing for this year. Hope that you have actually subscribed and hope that we're going to grow this community this year.
I know, I've got a feeling that this video is especially for you. There's somebody who's been saving so much so that they can start repairing and sell their property, or there's somebody who's actually saved so much and now they actually want to put their property up for rental.
So right now what we are actually going to be speaking about is that how much should you actually be spending in your property and what should you actually look out for so that when you do actually decide to sell your property, you get the full value that you actually put in. You don't want to overcapitalize and you don't want to really undercapitalize.
I felt hard done. I really felt hard done when we were in a situation whereby we painted the whole house a specific color. Before, the color was actually peach, and then we're like, you know what, let's use these modern color. And I think that we'll actually put it up and then you'll tell us, you'll give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Just say thumbs up if you like it or thumbs down if you don't like it, so that for future reference we know not to use it. We'll understand. So then what happened is the person that actually came through who wanted to buy the house was like, guys, my one recommendation is that you just paint this house with a new color. I was like,
but we've just painted it.
And we spent so much painting. We really need to understand when it comes to renovations that what needs to be done and what should I actually leave out at times.
So this is both important for the rental and also the flipping, right? So now I hear a lot of people saying that, you know what, this property has a big size, so what I'm just going to do here is that I'm going to come through, I'm going to do a double story. After doing double story, I'm going to do a cottage behind the property. And now something that you really need to understand is that how much is the value of the properties that are actually selling around the property. We were having a conversation last night with one of our clients that they were saying that one of the people that they're about to sell the properties for is actually selling their properties for 24 million because of these extravagant steel that they actually put in the foundation. I mean, nobody's going to see it, right?
Even if they do see it.
Even if they do see it, who's actually willing to pay 25 million in a market whereby the properties are actually selling for 7 million? Even if they did actually want to pay that amount, the bank wouldn't actually want them to actually pay for that amount. So now let's speak about this term that property investors like to speak about. They shouldn't actually confuse you. It's ARV, which stands for after repair value. Now, won't you talk to us about that?
This is your valuation of that house once the repairs have been done. And here's the dangerous part now is that even with the pricing, it'll differ from one property investor or one seller to another. So the sale price is actually subjective on how you feel the property is worth at that point in time. However, we need to really understand something as property investors is that the market price is determined by the market. So when I'm referring to the market, I'm talking about the people that are buying, the buyers. So ultimately, I know that sometimes they do say the buyer's market or the seller's market. However, if you were to be honest, the market is dominated by the sellers, because at the end of the day, if we do not have sellers raising their hands up, it's going to become a situation whereby us as the buyers are negotiating down to actually make sure that we grab sellers or we entice sellers. So we need to actually be careful about when it comes to after repair value. This is how we actually need to reverse engineer the whole system. As a property investor, you looking at your property, looking at your budget too, that okay, I understand that houses in X area are selling for 2 million. So with the repairs that I want to do, I should not exceed 2 million by a long shot, because I can exceed it. However, I need to be understanding now that my target market actually becomes smaller, because people that actually can afford it, the higher it is, will be less compared to if I looked at that area and people buying houses in that area, and then I know that that can be my target, and then I know I'm safe.
So basically, this is what one of the estate agents was saying, right? That the value of your property is not really determined by you. It's not determined by the estate agent. It's not even determined by the bank. The value of your property is really determined by the person who's actually willing to purchase that property. If nobody's willing to purchase your property at 800,000, trust me, even if the bank can say that the property is actually worth 800,000 or 900,000, if nobody's actually willing to buy it at 900,000 or 800,000, everybody's willing to buy it at 600,000. I asked one of our friends recently that, how much do you think your property, your house is actually worth? And they were like, you know what, I did this few additions to my property, it now looks nice, it has this clean thing going on. However, you might have the clean thing going on. If the market isn't really willing to purchase that property, then that's something that you need to look into. How do you actually really determine the value of your property? What you need to really do is to check that how much are people around you actually selling their properties at, right? If you're looking at the highest in your area and you're looking at the lowest in your area, you already know in which bracket should you actually be playing under. So now say for instance, if you recently purchased your property for 600,000, right? And now you're in a market whereby the houses around there are really selling around 800,000. Already you know that if you want to really break even, you need to spend 200,000 on your property. Please, I beg you, don't go and spend 500,000 and think that your break-even point will be 1.1 million in a market whereby everybody's selling their property at most 800,000. Really consider that before I actually put my money into a property, I don't want to gamble, right? Before I actually put my money into a property, I need to know that at what price should I actually be thinking about selling this property. Because if I'm only thinking about that once I have actually refurbed this property, this basically means that chances are I might have actually overcapitalized. And I know, trust me, I know it's really exciting to renovate the property because now you're thinking about the new tiles that you're going to put in.
I think the look is exciting, not the spending side.
Right? The look of it is exciting. It's exciting when you do have the money and you're thinking that it's actually going to come back. That's exciting. However, if your money is actually about to run out, then it's not exciting.
I'm really enjoying today's topic because ultimately it's preparing property investors and property buyers about when it comes to renovation, what should I be looking out for. So I've got a question for you, right? If I know one of my uncles was like, you know what, you've got land behind your house, man. Why don't you just build about 4 rooms and then sell higher? What are your thoughts about that?
So when you're looking at that particular situation, right, I really need to understand, number one, that what are the properties actually selling around. Number two, I need to understand that if I'm going to be actually building something onto the property, it needs to get certified by the municipal, right? It needs to get approved by the municipal. If that property or if that structure isn't really approved by the municipal, I can't really sell that property as a property that has 4 cottages behind it, right? Because now it's not approved by the municipal. If you're in that situation, you need to now understand that if you do go to the municipal and try to get it approved, you might have a challenge of getting it approved if you use the wrong contractor and they were just actually chasing the sale. So now back to your question, that what do I actually think about it? For me, I'm a property investor looking at specifically flip. So what I do when I get to a property is that I go to the property, fix it up and then resell it. Getting the 4 bedrooms behind or building 4 bedrooms behind, this basically means that I'm switching my strategy from being a flipper to actually being a developer. And now with developing a property, there is a lot of then other rules that we need to actually consider. That if I'm going to be developing a property, this basically means that for the next 6 months, I need to get my plans approved. And now if my plans aren't really approved, I need to go back and reevaluate that why weren't they actually approved and then apply again. So for me, that's not my game. My game is just to go to the property, fix it up, make it look nice, and then resell it.
Another question, right? You spoke about ARV, after repair value. So now one of my aunt, we listed a property and then she was like, guys, whatever you do not decrease the price because you guys worked a lot on it. So I really want to understand what are your thoughts on that, especially as a property investor, because I understand that time is against you. Every month you need to be paying bond. Every month you need to be paying the credit that you took to fix that property. Or if you in a group with investors, you need to be telling them that, guys, this is what's happening and it's still on the market. So what are your thoughts about that? Is that especially as a property investor, you're in a tight corner, you want to sell as soon as possible. However, now you are kind of in a situation whereby you need to decrease your price.
Okay. So first of all, what I'd like to actually put in is that it's not about how I feel, right? It's not about how much money I've spent into this property. It's not about how tired I was actually working this property. I was actually tired, wink wink.
I'm not.
He is. So he really is. So now when you're looking at that particular situation, right, it's not about how you feel, it's about what the person is actually going to be looking at when they're coming to buy your property. So now, if goes back to what we were saying earlier on, that if the market is actually saying that if we listed the property at 1.3 million and the market is saying that they are actually willing to purchase the property at 1 million, basically means that the property needs to sell at 1 million. So now remember, as a property investor or as someone that's looking at flipping properties, I need to understand that the more I hold this property, the more expenses I'm actually going to get. So now if I'm going to say that I'm going to wait for the person that's going to give me 1.3 million, this basically means that I'm going to actually be carrying the costs throughout the months. And now it doesn't only look at the cost that you're carrying throughout the months, it also looks at the potential deals that you might actually be getting. So now say for instance, if I'm going to hold this property for the next 6 months and saying that I'm looking for that person that's going to be paying me 1.3 million, this basically means that I won't be in the deal for the next 6 months. And for me, that's bad, because I'm a property investor and I really need this property to sell in order for me to actually pay my bills. So that's my thing. The deal that you actually get, you should know how much you should actually going to be getting before you even start renovating the property, so that when it does get to the worst case scenario, that's the money that you're actually going to be getting. What are your thoughts now?
I mean, emotions, guys. When we speak about emotions, it's quite profound when it comes to property investing, because it's not just letting go of the property. Because somebody will be like, you know what, I'm just selling this property, I'm not emotionally attached to it. And then they do not want to decrease the price. Let's have a look at that, guys. It ultimately means that you are emotionally attached to the price at that point in time, because you might have spent a lot when it comes to fixing. Emotions might have been the key driver to you fixing it to that point whereby it's at the higher end. Now you are forced to actually sell it at the higher end and nobody's budget. So when it comes to emotions, you really need to be very careful. What do we mean when we say you need to remove your emotions? It's not a simple term as just being far away from the property and not being attached to it. You can be attached in somewhere somehow. And I mean, when you're looking at it from that perspective, that if your emotions actually impacted, to what extent did you fix? And then now you find out that you actually overcapitalize. Overcapitalizing being that you put too much money into that project and now nobody wants to actually buy it at that price that you want to sell it. And then you really need to look at it from opportunity cost. I mean, what you said right now is literally profound, because there is no percentage when we're looking at it from opportunity costs. Opportunity costs being that how much would you have gained in the next project that you should be in.
Thank you for your support, and please do blow up the comment section if you've watched until this far. Type in a pro and give us a thumbs up.
Subscribe. Hope that you guys have subscribed, and we will be actually hosting more events during the year, so please do come through and show your support. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Let's invest like pros.
Nongwal,
Signing out.